Okay. Hey, look at that. We got a picture. What do you think of that, buddy? Hey? Hey, check it out. I drew this. Look at me. I'm Corbin. Look, I'm a drawing guy. Woohoo. All right. That's about enough, Dad. I'm going to go lie down. You're so patient with me, Corbin. Okay. He's purring. You're purring. Okay. Now I'm covered in hair. All right. So this is the picture that I started drawing last night. On Wednesday night, which means today is happiness. Yeah. Today's Thursday. So this is the illustration that we started. We're only using this. This is a Tombow N15 pen. It's got a brush tip at one end. It's got a marker tip at the other. We have yet to use the marker tip. We've only been using the brush tip, which is purposeful to challenge myself to do it this way. And yeah, so far so good. All right, we're having a cup of tea, and let's get back to it. So yeah, if there's I've left it open to a call out for suggestions and stuff as well. We're still on that. We're still in that point. So that's something, if people are interested, they can take part in. One of the things I've been doing is I've been using this ruler. I've got two of these bad boys. And the reason I have two of these bad boys is because of that right there. So this I can rest my hand on as I'm drawing. You know, I'm working my way in the composition from the front back, but at the same time, I'm also trying to work left to right. So, you know, when I get some of these foreground pieces in, what I really need is to not smudge it all as I'm using the old Pinsky. So this is where we're at. Corbin is with me by my side. He's just had his lunch. And yeah, we're going to get some more stuff done here. So what I thought I would do is draw some. It's clearly a terrible thing has happened here. But what I thought I would do is draw some more of our background, our contextual scene. And in order to do so, we'll just carry on our way across the image and start putting in some of these elements. So what I've done to separate stuff is there's our foreground elements, there's our midground elements, better? I think. Let's see. Is this better? Yeah, I think so. I think I got to sort it out. All right. That's why it's too quiet in here. I get it now. Okay, so back to it. So I'm just putting in some more things in the background, but I'm going to build up this intermediate area between. Oh, it says, yes, now I can listen to you. Well, in that case, here's a song. So I'm just putting in, yeah, see, this brush is not giving us a nice point. And that's the point of the brush. Oh, see, that's much lovelier. Okay, so we've got our broken bit of bridge. I had a course last night. I'm sorry I missed the stream. Oh, well, that's pretty cool, having a course. No worries. Not hard to find. I'm always around. So here's, I'd clean up some of these bits of information here. Now I'm going to put this mid-ground area here, collapse that down so that I can add another pile of, on this scale. Just to keep things moving around, just to keep the eye moving around. This is already complex, but when I start separating, if I scan this and put color to it, I'll separate the planes a little more clearly. But if this is telling me anything, one, need a better brush. Two, I have to figure out mark making to separate images one from the next. Because that, you know, the reader needs to know what to look at and what defines, what's definably one object from the next object, from the next person, you know, without having to slowly step stage by stage through the composition. Should be able just to be able to look and read it. So I've got, like, this is a piece of concrete here in front of more broken bits of whatnot. So there we go. We're just putting some more of those little bits of business together. And so this area here, this flat in the background, is now definable as water. You know, so it's starting, things are starting to take a little more shape back there. Just have to be patient with that line application. You know, so that things come together representatively. You know, you want objects to look like objects. You want, you know, if there's a barrel in here, or a pylon leg, or some metal fencing, you want it to somewhat look like said metal fencing, you know, so forth. All right, I'm going to put fence here. There we go. Carry over this line through it. And this is some kind of gate or some such. And we'll carry that across. So this is the next piece of fence. Just trying to keep a consistency of the lines. And then we'll carry that in behind. And it has to peek through. Looking good. I guess no pencil guidelines, right? Nope. Making it up as we go along. You can tell, right? It's kind of, the lines are all wiggly, and you can probably tell that I'm just coming up with things as we go. That's okay. We're having fun. That's the whole point. So this is a nice object to place in because it fills in some of the space, but at the same time it does it in a way that gives a nice sense of overlap. So I'm just putting, so this is broken pieces of fence, and then this is upright pieces of fence. So I'm going to put one here along the ground. And then I'm going to put one lying at a crazy angle. And then there, just gets across the assembly of the fence here, the fact that it's coming undone. And then, of course, the thing to remember is you can see through a fence. So that's why I've got this line coming through here. And, yeah. So there's this piece of fence leaning over with the other one in front of it. So lots of mess, lots of broken stuff, and some rocks and things here. Maybe what I'll do is I'll put in some platforms. So what I'm thinking is, how do you set up these fences? You have to have these little triangular type fastener bases. So we'll put a few of those around. Got a rock there, so that this fence is in the foreground of all these other ones. And we'll put another one of the bases down, just to make some sense of how things are together. So like it's some sort of hazard fence that was put up in order to keep people from getting into trouble over there, and build up another big pile of junk. Is this the scene of a wreck or an accident? Yeah, some kind of, maybe an earthquake, I guess, is what I'm telling myself. It's so we're just putting together interesting little combinations of elements to populate our image. And so this is our next big pile of refuse here. So it's got a board lying on the ground there, put some things on top of it. I just, we're trying to put a couple of interesting little things. There's an I-beam here. There's some corrugated metal there. We've got this pile of the barriers, and then we've got different bits of refuse and stuff as we're piling it up as we go around. So, hi, Linda. Hi, Tim. Welcome aboard. So here's our little pile of junk. We'll lean this stuff up against here. It's not, everything doesn't have to be perfectly identifiable. The idea is, the intention is to be drawn towards the people and the humanity of the moment. So, and lots of dark lines drawing us through, and then these two people are fairly bright and in our center. So maybe it is that we want the viewer to look into the center of the thing and then work their way around it in a circle. Hello, Jim. How are you, sir? So it's a fun way to draw without a net, and to just sort of think in your head, how do these things go together, and how would I represent that, and how would I put that into the drawing overall, as opposed to having a big plan here. So here's the bottom of our little junk pile. And then we've got our side of our, this is going to be another one of these stone pylons that you see scattered throughout. So whatever this was is a piece of broken something larger. So here's another board or some such in the way. Just, again, keeping the eye moving. And I had a bit of a curb going on through here, so maybe we'll continue that. But we'll lie some objects across it. I'm pulling to a halt here because I don't know how much longer this brush is going to hold out for us. So if it keeps going for us, we'll go right across. But in the interim, we're just going to at least get this consistency of line throughout here. So if this is our curve coming across, we'll put a break in there. So that carries through the image now. And we'll sink it into the ground a little bit as we move over. I like that Jim said hello to all Chris's and Linda. So I'm going to expand on this grass area a little bit here that we've already identifiably started putting in there, because even though this may well be a parking lot or some such that, stuff's been pushed into or swept up on, we're going to have structure to it in advance of that. So here's our board. We'll put something circular there. I'll flush that out in a second. I got the tip back on this guy, so maybe we are good to go. There we are. Putting some more lines through here. I've got to drive to work in some minutes. Oh, safe drive. Thanks for stopping in. Okay, so here's the next person carrying somebody, and we can put another big piece of corrugated metal like we have over here in our foreground. What is corrugated metal? Man, I'm glad you asked. So by having a recurring in a space of a line, what I'm drawing is like metal that you'll have on, at least on old school roofs of sheds. We I need to leave for a bit. I have an appointment. Oh, okay. Well, thanks for stopping in then. Good luck with your appointment. Safe travels to that. So here's some more of this tchotchke and whatnot. And as I did over here, I'm going to put a little bit more shadow, a little bit more dark area, as I did drawing it down into this section here, just to balance that out, right? So again, we've got some recurring lines. There's some broken bits of pavement. I always think when I start seeing something like a broken bit of there's a film, Hedwig and the Angry Inch, and the character describes himself post World War II Germany growing up, and all the ruin and stuff that there was there in Europe after the war. And the character describes himself as, so there he was sunbathing on a piece of broken church. It's a ruined environment. And he's lying on a church with a lovely little gable top, and it's with a nice little stained glass window in it. And there he's lying on top of that to sunbathe. And I always thought that's a lot of fun, that way of describing it. So cool beans. All right, so I'm going to put our guy here. Now I'm going to draw a 2x4, just sitting across this, just to break up the lines on our corrugated metal. Being careful not to touch this to this so that it doesn't become what's called a tangent and just make the eye go, So we're going to put more muck and yuck here so that our corrugated bit of metal is sticking out of the ground there. So, yahoo! I really appreciate people taking time out of their day to come and hang out here while I'm doing whatever this is. If there's things that I can pass on that are a benefit to folks, yeah, I'm in. I know how I can be of help. Okay. There's a little bit more smudging. All right, so I'm coming to a line point here, like just running everything up this side, so that we have a consistent break off point. It doesn't mean I'm not going to continue, but I just want to make sure that I keep a point on this brush enough to get us across to there. So with that in mind, just filling in things. So if I put this ruler here, you can see where we've got a rough line here that everything is coming across to. And I just wanted to put some more interesting shapes, things half buried and so forth. And here's a ball of some kind. Put a little pattern on it. Just because we can. A little flower pattern. Like so. There's always, whenever you have ruined area of things that are piled and thrown about, I find there's always a ball kicking around somewhere. Okay, so where are we at? We've got a line moving up. Put some S on this piece of board. There we go. Gives it some texture. Okay, so let's put a block. Let's put a broken piece of cinder block here. So there's a broken cinder block. And put another one half embedded in the ground. Yeah, that's fun, coming together like that. Just thinking about little objects that we can draw on and put into places. What I don't have here is barrels or things like that. Like I've really stuck to very little circular shapes. In fact, I think the only thing that's truly circular is that one right there, just the ball. So let's keep with that. Let's keep on that pattern. So I'm going to put, we're going to put a line here. And then shade that out. And then I'm going to put another piece of, as though what we're looking at here is two pieces of the same piling. One is broken at this height. And then one is broken at this height. Thinking about how if you've ever just looked at broken stone in the length, you'll see how sometimes it splits. Kind of like, is it shale I'm thinking of, where you can, if you've got a piece that's X thick, you can tap it on the side, it'll crack in different little layers. So it's almost like this part of the bridge has been sheared off. And put some rebar sticking out of it as well. Big crack in it. Big crackola. You remember the band Crackola? And if I wash my feet in your dirty water. Hello, the 80s. So there's another little broken piece. A couple more as we're moving along. And then we're going to fill in this lower area here. But this is going to be shadowed out. You know, just like Shadow Stevens. I heard somebody do a really good impression of Shadow Stevens the other day, and I'm like, there's a name you just don't think about. Well, he's still doing music shows and stuff. So and we can do another half buried. Let's do a half buried barrel. See, so if we continue this thing, we'll carry on with our barrel drawing. Okay, so let's bump over here, and let's do something with this. Let's explore this space back here. So here's rigid elements in the background, and we'll put some more there, so that as though we've got a skyline in the background here that's taking a kick in here. Don't evenly space your buildings. Don't have your buildings all be the same width. Overlap them. Shake them up. Different heights, different widths. So we're just putting in some extra pieces of information here throughout. So we can put a little haze or something in between this area and this part of the city that's in our background. Nice tall building there. Just here's our center part of downtown, and we're moving away from that now. So I also want to put a couple of bits of building back here. You know what I mean, Vern? If you know, you know. It's Toronto. It's just the Sky Dome. See the tower. I don't know why. All right, so we're going to carry this across. And we'll put another big broken piece of whatnot in your background. Just sticking out of the water there. Just broken. So there's our top line. So that's our top line of the water, or whatever this level is here. And then we've got our city line in behind. And then we'll carry on some of that. A bit of pattern. Yeah, so here's our cityscape moving through now. And we've got this broken piece of roadway. And so I'll have this hanging about just to make this more interesting. Like it's a pier that's sort of come apart, I guess. So I'm just thinking about the shape of objects as we're drawing them in. So I was saying last night, there's some opportunities that come up where I'll just live draw. And, at a couple of different things. And I like this idea a lot. So I'm going to investigate it more fully. Practice up a little bit by doing things like this, where I'm just drawing. What I realized, though, is in order to do larger scale drawings in front of people, I need to draw bigger and space elements apart a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to carry on here with our bridge elements. So we're putting in some more broken bits of bridge. nice big piece of one right across there, right in the foreground. So hopefully this looks like something bad's happened. We'll put our little directional lines in the water here in the foreground. So I've carried on from over here, and I'll tighten. Again, we'll just keep working. But I'll just continue our horizon line back here. Move our lines about a little bit. Now, back to this. I'm going to put, so this is leaning on something. So let's put in a big piece of wall or some such. And we'll just carry this across like so. And we'll put some dark lines in here to sort of bed it in there. Let's we'll put one more of the metal fences leaning up against this, but let's just keep this moving straight across here. A couple of big ungainly rocks through there. Like it's a breakwater type thing, right? And then we've got one more metal piece of fencing leaning against this wall. And put this straight across. Back there like that. Just to help to separate that. As usual, this looks great. Oh, that's very nice here. So now we've got this taking us right over to here. So rather than focusing as much on the people drawing, we're really exploring our environment and seeing what interesting bits of story that we can put in from the various bits of errata that are around here. Like by having these rocks in this way is going to make, this as though this is sticking out as a breakwater. And whatever this was holding up is all messed up. And so now we're going to continue with this broken, whether it's a roadway or a bridge, I'm not sure, but we're just going to put it in here and see where this takes us. We've got a piece of something over the side here. Maybe it would be like a divider wall or a barrier on the side. So these barriers have been banged around. So we'll put one on its side. So hopefully that's going to make some sense to folks. So I'm following these lines as we carry on across our bridge. And what I'm going to do is put in more of the pilings, like we have over here. So we're doing some more of that over there. I hope that makes sense, folks. Maybe we need a boat. What do you think of that? Maybe we need a broken boat. Maybe that's an idea. Why don't I do that? So I'm just putting in here, maybe it's some kind of rescue boat or something similar, but I'm going to put some stuff piled up against it. Yeah, so here's a broken boat on its side there. And then here's another. So we've got some more details coming in now on our bridge. I think we just got to do really one more pile over here. No, just little bits of information, little bits of detail. And we've got this line to come here. And if we can start putting in right there, big pile on. So where's our line go to? It goes to right here so far. So a little bit of forming when you pour concrete. Sometimes the form that you've built to pour the concrete, little patterns show up in your poured surface. So we're just winging it, folks. And just putting some more broken things. Maybe we'll put a vehicle or two sticking out of here. Yeah, maybe not. We'll see. Yeah, let's put a rig. It's a rig. I guess. Okay. So, I mean, as far as it goes for clouds, I can put those in as drawn, or I can put them in as effect. Haven't decided yet. So here's our next big piece of pylon coming in. So hopefully this makes sense. People say, what happened here? And you'll say, gastrointestinitis. Somebody had a really upset tummy. I mean, really upset. So then this part is all shadowed out. Yeah, my brush is starting to come a little more blurry. I don't want to lose the line that we have. So maybe we'll draw our image to a close right over here. You know, because if it's on a page, I mean, we can do this as a second panel or something. Now the image is complete. Oh, there you go. Thanks, Chris. So if this is our line, I'll put some more things in through here. Finish out our barrel. Bring our board down here. Yeah, just carrying on our lines. I'm just wrapping up our image, really. There's another board line across there. There's another rock. Let's see, what do we got here? Let's bring this to an angle like so. And we'll just put some more junk and garbage throughout here. Okay, so I think, yeah, I think we got something. So let me So I'm just putting in cloud shapes into our sky here. Just moving our way across. A squiggly line, but this whole drawing is kind of squiggly lined. So there's There's our image. Okay, I think we got something, folks. Yeah, okay, so what I'm going to have to do next is to scan this and to go into the computer with it. I'm just making my line across the bottom being consistent. And I have to go into the computer with it. And because it's going to take me 3 scans, 3 passes, and then stitch it together, we'll have a workable image that we can be able to color now, or to be able to make further decisions on where do we want to take this, and maybe this gives me a new framing element. Like maybe what it could present is structurally for the story, if the image sits across like so, maybe the dialogue goes across the bottom like that. And I mean, we could even put a title, blah, blah, blah here, and then blah, 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 and just the image. We'll see. There's a whole bunch of different variations we can do on this. It could just be the image like this, and then the title popping up into the bottom, like an overlay, right? Or maybe we reverse that. Maybe we have the image along the bottom, and then we have the text and title up at the top as an overlay. So it just bumps over into, the lower part of the image. Terrible answer. So lots to think about. I have to make it even because I'm a lunatic. Lots of different approaches that can be taken here. I mean, we could also, another consideration, of course, is if we've got the static image here, to the side of it, we can have all of our text. Or, variation of that would be, here we go, and then our text pops out a little bit, just to make it a little more interesting than something that's really having something overlay something else, or having something peeked in behind. Like if I was even to take just the same color backing of this side and have it pop around on that side, that's a little more interesting than just box, right? So those are the considerations and choices that I have to make now. But there we go. We got our page drawn, and I'll get it scanned and put a little bit of color to it. We're going to do a short one today, but there we are. This was fun. The Tombow N15, these are, you can buy them in brush pen sets like this with a multiple range of colors. And I've got 2 black marker brush pens like this in these, a couple of different sets that I bought. But the sets that I bought are, flesh tones or like just sort of somber values. And I don't know what, the black just throws off whatever it is. I think the idea is you draw, you color your image and then put your black line art to it. Because if you put the black down first and then go around it with the other colors, it bleeds like crazy. So you can't use it that way. So something to think about anyhow. But there's our overall image, everybody. Thank you so much for sticking around with me and as we work through this composition. And just draw. There's no pre-plan here. We're just drawing by the seat of our pants, I think is the expression, and seeing where it takes us. And so I'm pretty pleased with our result, folks. But there we go. I'll get this scanned and I'll get this put on to get this posted today. But in the meantime, try this out. This is the same company, by the way, that makes, oh, nice pen. So this is the same company that makes the Fudenosuke pen that I love so much. that I'm hard pressed not to name. If the kids were being born these days, I would have named one of the kids Fidelis. Okay, maybe not. But this is just a brush tip, and it has a rigid tip, a soft, and a much more firm one. This is the hard one. The hard one is a blue tone to the pen, and then the black toned pen is the soft, but they're both equally lovely inks. So it's the same company that produces both of these. I would recommend these. You know, not to say that I don't recommend this. We had fun doing some drawing with it, but more control with this guy right here. So, or maybe it's just that I need to come at this more. I find that a lot of indie books that you see where people are drawing in brush pens and stuff like that, I find that there's a sort of generic style of line making that comes around from it. And it's largely because of, and if they're using this type of pen, it really does give us a limited variation in our line. So tricky. You know, we all do our best. So there we go. That's it's a short stream today. And I'll get this thing done and put out. But thanks very much, everybody, for coming and hanging out. And I hope you have a lovely day. I'll be back Friday, tomorrow, 12 noon EST. So I hope to see you then. In the meantime, have fun making some art. Bye for now, gang.